Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, December 14th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, we had a massive sell-off in the overnight last night. Essentially, what has happened with the market was that we had excess to the upside, and we started to balance off that excess using time. But at the very end of the day yesterday, that time failed, and we broke below that sort of balancing area that we were developing with a spike down, which was bearish, and the overnight has just rapidly begun the process of selling off. Okay, so that does count as excess from the overnight, which means I would expect that there'll be some kind of counter auction to the upside this morning when the market opens. So we'll get some kind of push up. However, this is a gap and go, or is likely a gap and go. Obviously, the market hasn't opened yet. We don't know, but the highest probability when you have a gap that's this large is that it won't fill the first day, which means it will probably be a gap and go. So what we're going to look for this morning is we're going to look for the market to push higher as part of a counter auction. And then if it gets resistance and starts to turn back around and go back down, the target to the downside becomes backfilling the gap from the 7th, okay, which is right here. We're opening inside, so we're opening with a gap down inside a gap up. I know that's very confusing, but the long and the short of it is the higher probability gap to fill first is actually the gap to the downside, because this is such a big gap to the upside, right? So the higher probability is that we basically do exactly what we did on this day, right? Where we just went straight the opposite direction. We're likely to do that this morning and go straight the opposite direction to the downside. Okay. So the first order of business when the market opens is a potential counter auction to the upside, and then we look for resistance. If we get it and the market turns around and starts coming back down, this could be a shortable market. And with gaps, you don't wait around. It's not like opening inside the previous day's range where you expect chop. If there's going to be a gap and go, you want to just get in that trade in that direction, because gap and goes often lead to a trend in the opposite direction. All right, the market is open. So first target is the counter auction to the upside. How far can they push it? And then where do they get resistance? All right, already passing back through that opening price. So setting ourselves up for a short here. All right, so potential points for resistance on the counter auction here. We got this little node of volume on the cumulative over here at around 30. Well, I mean, it's kind of this whole area, 36 to 38-ish. That could potentially act as resistance. Also, the base of the single prints down from the overnight, which is at 40, could act as resistance right there. If we are able to completely fill the gap, to work our way all the way up to yesterday's low, and we find resistance there, that is still a gap and go for a push lower. But obviously with a gap being this large, if we're able to get all the way back up there, we're likely to push back into the balancing area, in which case the target would become the opposite end of balance to the upside. But that seems the least likely scenario to play out here today. To me, the highest probability thing is at the very least filling this gap down to 46.12. Cyrus J. Trader, good to see you. Welcome. Donkey, good morning to you. David Glass. JG with the GM, good to see you guys. Design Knob, good morning. Philip, Peter, Two Manif, Scooball, welcome to all of you. Arthur, good to see you. Trading Talkie J. Powell, say something stupid. Market dares you. It might be that they're kind of pricing in that he's going to say something they don't like. But it could also, this could purely be technical, right? I mean, there doesn't even have to be any fundamental reason for this. We had a giant gap that needed to fill. You know, we created a bunch of excess. The market tried to use time to balance off that excess. It spent like 4 days trying to use time, and it just didn't work. In the M period yesterday, they just decided, nope, we got to go lower. Well, the internals are recovering nicely. They're absorbing that overnight inventory very well. That's somewhat bullish to see. Can we get the advancers versus decliners back above the zero line? Can we get the ticks above the zero line? If so, we may fill this gap. Getting back to yesterday's low. Okay, so we got some potential resistance right in here in this cumulative volume. So do those ticks start to push back down? That would be the sign of resistance. Danielle, good morning to you. Samuel, hello. Jose, good to see you. Aaron, welcome. Mark, good morning. Mo Gray, good luck to you. TV, good morning. Henry, welcome. Trading Donkey, is that a copy and paste from Shadow Trader? That sounds exactly like something Shadow Trader would say. Nor Auto Trader, welcome. Okay, a little bit of resistance here in this node. Nope. Nope, they're pushing it. All right, looks like they're going to try to backfill the gap. Next set of resistance is going to be this node of volume right around the halfback from the overnight. So somewhere between 47 and 50. TV, good tempo in first 10 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it literally picked a direction and just started to go. So that's a sign. They don't need more selling, at least not yet. The overnight got themselves overly short. Got some levels with only 70 and 80 contracts in it. Those are likely to need to backfill at some point. Alan, hi. I need a pullback to long. I would recommend that. Not unless we get to ticks above the zero line. So what you have to understand is this is not new buyers. This isn't people from the regular trading hours who woke up this morning super bullish and were like, oh my God, this is such an amazing looking market. I have to buy stocks. This is people who went short in the overnight and were hoping they were hoping that when our market opened, we would freak out and immediately start to sell off even further. And so when that didn't happen, you saw we pushed up, came back down, crossed through the opening price. That should have been the signal to start to move lower, and we didn't. We literally crossed through it and then went right back up. So this is what's called short covering. This is just the people who got short in the overnight pushing the market lower. This is just them covering their shorts. So I certainly wouldn't want to buy a pullback. I'd want to already be in the long, trailing my stop, or I'd want to be looking to go short into resistance as a gap and go. But that's just me. I mean, you can take any trade you want. That's a massive move in the advancers versus decliners. Two manifs. Kathy Arkwood, call options. What you say? Are you asking about buying calls on ARK? ARK's the name of her company. It's not her name. Ugh. Ugh. I wouldn't buy options on it, but I'd buy some of the ETF right there. $93 as a long-term investment, sure. As a trade, though, nah. This thing's in a downtrend. It is pulling into previous support resistance, but that looks risky to me. All right, well, we got the ticks above the zero line, so can they hold it? Can they hold it here? This would be new buyers stepping in if they can, which would be bullish. David Fields, I'm sitting on my hands. Got to see what happens. Nothing wrong with that. Amir, what are the top two charts in my Thinkorswim? So this one's called the Breadth, and this one's called the Advancers versus Decliners. So it's the VOLD and the ADSPD. And they're both just basically measuring the amount of the underlying assets that are being bought versus sold. All right, ticks back below the zero line. BJ, S&P keeps dropping, question mark? Well, welcome, BJ. We're happy to have you. Yeah, I am of the opinion that this is bearish. Why, Charles? Why are you of the opinion that this is bearish? Well, because we've been rotating. Rotating is a version of balance. And when you break out of that rotation, when you break out of balance, you often get excess. Now, it could be that this was enough excess, and so we just float around in this range today. But my guess is that they're looking to backfill that gap left behind on the 6th. So essentially, this is the balance in here, right? So you expect the excess breaking out of that balance to be at least the size of that range. So at least that same size to the downside. So yeah, maybe the lows today were enough. But I still think they want to get that gap filled. But as always, with this kind of volatility, only a experienced trader should be making bets here. Or if you are, you should be doing a very, very small size. So if you normally trade an ES, you should be trading with just an MES on this. Because this kind of volatility, it's very hard to put stops. They have to be massive ranges. You have to accept a lot of risk to get yourself in a position that you won't get whipsawed out of in either direction. FRM, nope, we haven't filled the gap below or the gap above. They are doing battle right now to decide which is the target. Donkey says gap fills are a myth. Okay, man. Samuel, why are gaps filled? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's just one of those high statistical probabilities. It's like Fibonacci. Why do we often, turn around and flip the other direction when we get to the 618? I don't know. We just do. And Q, yeah, let's take a look at the Q today. Okay, so the Q broke out of its balance a little bit earlier yesterday. It actually broke out more during the session as opposed to on the ES where it broke out in the M period. but it's doing the exact same thing. It has, however, already filled that gap left behind on the 7th. So that gap is filled. Um, Trading Donkey, confirmation bias. We wouldn't pay attention to the ones in the immediate, or we only pay attention to the ones in the immediate neighborhood. If we'd have continued up yesterday, we wouldn't have given two shits about this gap. Yeah, we would have. See, I disagree with you. We wouldn't have worried about the gap if we continued higher, because we would have recognized that the market balanced off that excess using time. But if that thing doesn't work, if balancing off the excess with time doesn't work, the next thing becomes balancing off with price. I mean, so you're right. While we're up here, we don't care about that gap. But as soon as we break below there, the next thing to worry about is the gap. That's what you do. But you are right that we're, over the last few years, we've left quite a few gaps behind, which we didn't used to do. But we've probably got at least like six or so gaps in the ES over the last 2 years. So the idea with gaps is not that you think they have to fill. They don't have to, but they do have a higher probability. All right, buyers stepping in. All the internals across the board are showing new buyers. So the target, it would appear, is to fill the gap above. And then we'll look for resistance in the spike down of yesterday. Look for resistance in this area here. Jeff looks like a weak low. Oh, man, you're right. Yep, one tick from the overnight low. That is weak. There you go. Man, the tempo just has not slowed here. All right, so no support at the halfback. Ticks back below the 0 line. So now does that which was just acting as support, this node of volume above us, start to act as resistance? This 42 area was support above. So now does it become resistance as we try to push back into it? Elong sold 900,000 Tesla shares yesterday. Oh boy, well that's resistance is holding then. Bearish. It's a little early to make this call with the tempo moving the way it is. So I urge you all to trade very carefully with small size here. But I am of the opinion that the gap below is more likely to fill than above. Samuel, what is short covering? Short covering is people taking profits on their shorts. So if you're in a short position, right? That puts negative pressure on the market. That pushes the market down. And when you exit that short, when you take profits on it, it's the same thing as going long. It relieves some of that pressure, which causes the market to push back up. So if, let's just say hypothetically, the market continues lower here, right? We'll know that this push up from here to, this push up from here to here, right, was just all these sellers covering their shorts. If they went short in here, if they went short in here, if they went short in here, that was them taking profits, and that relieved that downward pressure and pulled the market up. And because new buyers didn't step in, they started to step in right here, but because they weren't successful, new sellers stepped in and pushed the market lower. So short covering is just getting out of the old business. Mike Elon shorted his own stock. There's no way he shorted Tesla. He may have sold shares that he had, but he would never short the stock. Okay, this is like playing in the middle of the street in Mexico City. I know, man. It's danger. 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 High voltage. Like I said, the only way to trade this is with very loose stops. So play safe. Think small size. Low risk. Make your money off the volatility, not the size of your trade. What's my script in TradingView? I don't really have a script. I just use pretty much just this triple MA forecast indicator, which just gives you 3 simple moving averages together. That's all I'm using. Odco, welcome to you. Yeah, I use TradingView to enter my trades. No, you can't really do trailing stops. You're right. It's got a lot of like functionality it's missing. I pretty much exclusively. All right. Well, now they're heading down to take out that low. I exclusively just use like the chart trader. You know, I just like I right click where I want to put my limit order, and then I just scroll over to trade, and then place the limit order there. Then once I've placed the limit order, I right click on it again and click protect position, then put in my stop and take profit. And then if I want to trail, I just drag it physically on the chart. That's just the way I do it. Why did you switch over to TradingView? Did you not like Quant Tower? Oh, dope. Oh, how the tables turn, right? Earlier this morning, it looked like they were trying to get to the high above us. Looked like they were building momentum. And of course, now, just like 30 minutes later, we see there were no sellers up there. I'm sorry, no buyers up there. It was all short covering. David Fields up 118 on MES, short from 41. That'll do. Oh, brother, don't give up yet. We haven't repaired the week A period low. That's a target right there. And then we also have the gap just below that. So if you're in from 41, move your stop, just above, say, 36 right here, just above this node of volume, and give it a chance. Or take profits and look to re-enter in there. That's another option. Mine's showing one tick. Yeah, on TradingView I see it as 23.75. But on here it's at 23.50. Not to get overly obsessed with a weak reference. You could just consider it a good low. That's fine by me. All right, so now does this node right around 34, 35, does this act as resistance? Yes, NQ did repair the low. All right, back up to halfback. That surprises me. Ticks are back to showing us some new buyers stepping in, trying to recover the market here. Can they do it? All right, well, there you go. Maybe that was the buyers down there. It's good taper on the B period low. think we could ever see the 4,000 level again. I mean, we would need a straight up like, I don't know, 4,000. We would need a like epic, humongous event to get us down there. We would need World War III to start to get us down there. So I don't think so. There's a gap there, though. There's one of those gaps got left behind. Let me look at it on the monthly. I'll see on the monthly. It looks very doable. Yeah, if this was COVID right here, yeah, a big event could get us back down to 4,000. All right, guys. Well, as we print the C period here, there's quite a bit of uncertainty at this point in the market. B period's inside of A period, so we haven't gotten any signal, in terms of beginning to pick a direction for the market yet today. Whichever way the C period or whichever period ends up breaking the high or the low of the A period, that will give us an indication we're likely to get some continuation in that direction, but it looks like it could be either way here. So I'm still leaning towards filling that gap to the downside. But I could be convinced either way, which I know isn't very helpful to you guys. But trade with caution with this kind of volatility. Small trades, take profits quickly. And, best of luck to you. Value is lower. It is a gap and go. But we're not one time framing. And we haven't broke the initial balance. So we could go sideways for a few hours before the market picks a direction. Yeah, I still lean more bearish than bullish, certainly. All right, guys. Well, with that, I shall wish you all an excellent rest of your day. It's also worth noting that we're below the 20 moving average on the daily as well. So a lot of times when we break that 20, we have to go down and test that 50. Doesn't have to be the same day, but that is a common occurrence. But anyway, I will see you all here tomorrow morning. If you remember the Brigade, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to restart my computer because it's been super slow this morning. So I'm going to give it a quick restart, and then I'll have the private stream up and running. Have a great day, everyone. Feel free to smash that like button on your way out. Let's get them likes up.